Not exactly pretty, is it? But I'm about to turn this into a botanical Cointreau or a really orangey gin. I don't know which, but I'm guessing what I probably need to do is catch you guys up on how I made this part before we go and throw it into the still. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Still It, and today we're making, I don't know what to call it, but basically I've been working on a Cointreau recipe. Spoiler alert, that's going to be coming out in a few weeks' time, but recently I also saw someone sent me a gin recipe that had a few things in it that made me think there could be kind of a fun crossover between Cointreau and gin, funnily enough. I don't think I've ever seen this before. If you guys have, let me know, because I'm probably just being an idiot and pretending like I'm doing something new, and I'm not. Anyway, the idea is to make a Cointreau that's got botanicals in it, or a gin that sits really heavily on the citrus side of things, but also brings in not just that fresh orange peel thing, brings in a little bit of the jammy, almost marmalade-y kind of orange flavors. And I'm thinking I might even sweeten it a little bit at the end. Let me run through everything that's in here and how I made it. Then you guys will be caught up so we can throw it into the still together. I'm going to get my computer so I don't mess this up. Like I said, 1 litre of 50% ABV vodka. It is the Kale wash that I made last week. Spoiler alert, didn't entirely go to plan, but the stuff that I did get out of it was very tasty. So I'm really stoked to use it for this recipe. Next up is, of course, orange. I used the peel of 1 whole orange. It is a navel orange, and it was 27 grams. If you're playing at home, I will be putting freedom units up all over the place for you guys. To push this away from being super zesty and kind of give it some more of that almost like orange candy kind of vibe, I also used 1/4 of a heaped teaspoon of orange zest powder and also 1/4 of a heaped teaspoon of powdered rind off a bitter orange. Rounding things out for the gin side of things, we have 5 grams of licorice root, 20 grams of juniper berries, not crushed. I'm working on a little bit of a theory here with juniper berries. If it works out the way I think it will, I'll make another video on that. And 5 grams of coriander seeds. So they all just went on in there. They've sat for 12 hours. For this one, I'm not too stressed about the exact time, but it has sat for 12 hours. I would guess 12 to 36 hours is probably the sweet spot for this specific recipe, but I haven't had a sniff yet. It smells pretty damn close to what I'm hoping to get out of it, but who knows until we literally just do the distillation. We can get this thing warming up. Like always, I've forgotten to plug it in. Are you guys into barbecue? Have you seen the Chuds BBQ channel? Dude's awesome. Obviously very knowledgeable for barbecue. Check him out if you haven't already. I'll put a link down below. But he's got this running joke. It's a little song he sings every time he forgets to plug it in. And I always wondered whether or not he was doing that as a bit on purpose. I completely believe that he's not now, because the amount of times I forget to plug this thing in, ridiculous. Anyway, it's heating up now, and I will come back to you when we've got first drips. So, I have collected exactly that much. I don't know what it is. But what I'm going to do is... Wow, you spilt some of that, you muppet. But the point is, with botanicals, a lot of the time, that first little bit is just... It's not great. It just smells messy and kind of aggressive. And the other thing is, because I'm trying to push this a little bit more towards the Cointreau side of things, I'm trying to dial down that really volatile, zesty thing a little bit. So taking a little bit more off at the beginning is great. It's not for heads, it's not for methanol, it's not for any of that stuff. It's just purely for flavor. The vodka that went in there already had good cuts made on it. But anyway, right now I'm getting mostly orange. And funnily enough, not a huge amount of the zesty orange, which is good. I'm just gonna let this run. And I found the best way to do this kind of thing is just, if something weird or kind of interesting pops out at a different point in the run, I'll just turn the camera back on and tell you. So we are currently this far in and starting to change quite dramatically now. I'm struggling to put my finger on it and it feels like we're kind of in between flavors, but it's starting to get less straight up orange-like and more almost berry-ish. I think the coriander is starting to kick in as well. A little bit more lemony and that slight almost nutty thing going on. Interesting. I need to say a huge thank you to the sponsor of today's episode, Into the AM. That's tiny, I know, right? Ooh, there you go. I know I don't need to introduce Into the AM to the regular viewers because I see all the comments, I see all the messages, I see all the emails and stuff from the Patreons going on about how you've got like a drawer full of their stuff. I get it, trust me. I have the same thing. I love this stuff. I'm out in the shed right now. It's damn near freezing out here and it is cold. So I am in the Into the AM hoodie, but trust me, I've got some of their goodness on underneath as well. If, however, you haven't heard about this stuff, now you have. And if you trust this group of nutters at all, then you should trust Into the AM as well. Awesome hoodies, obviously, but they also do kick-ass graphic tees. There is actually a collaboration shirt between Into the AM and Chase the Craft, and rumours of more to come. But anyway, guys, if you do want some Into the AM stuff, link in the description down below. It'll get you 10% off. So this is always nerve-wracking to me when I'm working with a different ingredient or an ingredient that's like changed suppliers or the style that it's been used in. This is a totally different supplier for licorice root than I've used before. And it tasted, well, it smelled different in the packet. It's coming through now and it does have that slight licoricey thing to it, but it's really quite earthy, almost spicy actually. And that's what it smelled like in the pack as well. Right now, a lot of it is coming out. If it carries on like this for much longer, I'm gonna have way too much of it in the product. But you never know. It might just disappear like in the next minute. It could go on for the next 15. I've got no idea. If it's like this, I'm on board. Add a little bit of earthiness, that slight sort of licoriciness, especially with a bit of sugar in there, that's gonna pop, and the sweetness from the orange that came through earlier. I could just obviously cut some of this out and not collect it. But for this kind of thing, it's such a small batch. I'd rather just trust in the recipe, trust in the process, and if it is too overbearing in the end, you change the recipe. Do it differently next time. That's how I look at these small batches anyway. There we go, guys. I proofed it down to 45% ABV because I was a little worried that it might loosh. There is a lot of flavor kicking around in there. And I'm glad I did so because I left it out here for about 45 minutes while I had to go and deal with the kids, and it did loosh. The temperature out here dropped down to about 6 degrees Celsius, Fahrenheit, and I picked it back up, took it inside, left it inside for an hour, and it's cleared up again. So it's sitting right on the edge. Anyway, 45% ABV and 30 grams of sugar into this. And I gotta tell you guys, I need to say a huge thank you to the Patreons. Thank you so much, Patreons, for helping me out on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis. I thoroughly appreciate it. And turns out it was one of you guys that helped me out with inspiration for this video. It's pretty pleasant. It is similar in flavor to a Cointreau in terms of the oranginess. It is kind of a rindy but marmalade-y, slightly juicy orange that has a little bit of zest, not heaps of zest. The biggest difference between Cointreau and this, obviously, is the fact that there's only 30 grams of sugar. It's not like syrup consistency. Generally, I'm against sweet gins with lots of sugar added into them. But this in my mind makes sense. It is orangey, but the earthiness of the licorice root comes through, and spoiler alert, no, it didn't overpower it at all in the end. And it leaves a nice little licoricey aftertaste that sits on the palate for quite a long time. To me, I think the coriander in this plays more of a almost, it kind of just binds things together. You don't taste a lot of coriander. But all in all, I think we've accomplished the goal quite well. If you think of it as Cointreau, it's basically a gin. If you think of it as a gin, it's basically Cointreau, and not really a gin either. And that's right where we wanted it to be. Now, I've got some horribly cheap, nasty tonic here that I'm going to try it with, just for the shits and giggles. I can't imagine it's going to be great, because like I said, this it's literally like the cheapest diet tonic you can get. I need to have a fridge out here with mixers, like nice mixers on hand, so we don't just drink them. Tastes like cheap tonic. Let's make it a little stronger though. It's not bad. The thing that it loses for me is the joy of a gin and tonic, which is that quite dry finish. I think you guys should give it a nudge if you're intrigued at all with the flavor profiles that I've read out. If you want it to be more gin-like, you could try smashing the berries first, or you could try bumping doubling the juniper or whatever. But if you have any ideas on how a spirit like this could fit into a cocktail, I'd be all for it. I might just drink it neat, because it's actually very sippable. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, guys, please give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll catch you next time. Keep on chasing the craft. Oh, see ya.